as being a senior here, I'm also included in the CTC program of Ed Careers. I'm actually representing right now, so that's the plus side of being a teacher. I don't have to wear a dress and I get my summers off, you know? I'll take what I can get. So as a student of the CTC program, I have been placed in 3 different classrooms. I've been in a kindergarten, a preschool for about a week and a half, and then a Head Start program. And I got to learn from these kids. As much as I taught them, they taught me. And in this, I got to learn what I value as a teacher: connections in classrooms. Now, when I talk about connections, I don't mean 2 + 2 = 4, the math connections. I mean the relationship connections, the things that we create with our students. So let's talk about what a teacher really is. A teacher is someone who teaches. It's not just someone who stands up in front of a classroom and tells you what to do. You do this, you do that, write down this, do this. A teacher is so much more than that. A teacher is someone who inspires you, pushes you to be your best. A teacher can be a pastor, a coach, a parent, a mentor. It's not just someone with a degree that stands in front of the room. So as I talked about, I am placed in different classrooms. I got the opportunity to talk to some of my kindergartners. I said, what words would you use to describe a teacher? I got words like leader, smart, responsible, organized, patient, and fun. I also had to change some of these words because, I got words like bossy and they tell me what to do too much. Yes, but I can't put that up there. But all these words do describe a teacher. What are we missing? What about inspiring, dedicated, passionate, caring? All these words are what make a teacher. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, if you're in education, you've seen this multiple times, countless of times, and you probably have every tier memorized. But if you're not, it's just a triangle. Why is this triangle important? This triangle is what makes kids how they are. This is what allows students to function properly in a classroom. You have your physiological needs, your safety needs, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. Without one of these tiers, you can never make it to the next. You can never have your safety needs. A student will never be safe and comfortable in a classroom if they don't have what they need at home. If they don't have shelter, sleep, or clothing, they'll never be able to reach that sense of love and belonging. They'll never be able to reach esteem. And most importantly, they'll never be able to have that desire to become the best they can be because they already feel like they aren't enough. Bloom's also goes on with Maslow's. It's another triangle, but this is more of the education side, whereas Maslow's is more of your basic needs. This is your education needs. It allows students to remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. And just like with Maslow's, you cannot have one tier without the other. Students cannot thrive if they're missing one of these tiers. So why am I pulling these 2 triangles and telling you they're important to have in a classroom? They're the foundation for learning. They also help us understand why a student may struggle, why a student might not be able to remember something or create. It might be because they don't have their physical needs. They don't have that sense of belonging, and they don't have that esteem. We can also use it to create a positive learning environment, a place where all of our students do feel safe, where they feel protected, where they feel valued, and where they feel loved. And most importantly to remember, we must Maslow's before we bloom. If we don't have our basic needs, our education needs will never be met. Something that school is so much more than just books, pens, and papers. School is about the culture and the climate. Now, we might know what these 2 words mean when it comes to outside of education, but when we're thinking about education, what do these words mean? Culture. Culture is how a school is ran. Culture is the procedures, the policies, how you walk in the hallway and how you do your bus lineup. It's your routine. Climate is how you feel. From the moment you step outside, from the outside into the school, you feel different. From the moment you're in the hallway to a classroom, you feel different. That is climate. Now you can have a school that has amazing culture, ran right, does all the right things, says all the right things, tells them where to be at the right places, right times. But if you don't have that climate, you will not have any significant learning, because no significant learning can be done without the relationships we create. So I'm actually going to show you a TED Talk just for a short little bit by Rita Pearson, who talks about why connections in education is important.
You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear.
So what Rita says here about her mother is that a bunch of former students attended her funeral because she made a legacy of relationships that will never disappear. This quote is powerful. It shows us that a single moment in time can alter someone's life, and you never know when that moment can be. A positive or negative impact can change someone's life. Rita Pearson was also in this video talking about when she was having a conversation with one of her coworkers. They don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson. Rita heard this and replied with, kids don't learn from people they don't like. This is true. Kids don't learn from people they don't like, but they also don't learn from people they feel don't like them. If they don't feel safe or comfortable in the classroom, they're not gonna care. They don't like me, why should I care? I don't matter in this classroom, why should I put forth my best effort? It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'll try again harder in the next class. Unfortunately, that's become the reality of a lot of kids. But Rita Pearson also says, every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists they become the best they can possibly be. We can be these champions for our students. We can be the people who help them get their voice heard, who make them feel like they matter. So why am I telling you about connections? Isn't classrooms about learning and what the students learn? Well, yeah, that's really important. But something that you can't do without a connection is teach. It's not just standing in front. So how can we make these connections? We can start with morning meetings, greeting our students each day by their names. I'm a student here at NMC. Every morning I walk into the door. Miss Susan is holding the door, and she says, "Good morning, Brooklyn. How are you?" That gives me a sense of belonging. That gives me an understanding that I have a purpose. She knows my name, and she knows that I'm here to make a difference in this school. We can start with giving them jobs, letting them know that this classroom is mine just as much as it's theirs. They can help run it, and you never know how much that job might mean to them. You'd see some crazy things the kindergartners would do just to turn off the lights. Is it my turn yet? Can I do it? Giving them jobs gives them a sense of purpose in the classroom. Knowing their names creates that connections. They're no longer just a face in the classroom. They're a person with a powerful and important meaning to be there. We can send home letters for good behavior and academic improvements. Instead of sending home the letters, "Oh, I noticed that Johnny's ends weren't going the right way this week," or "he didn't make his sevens right." Instead, we can send home letters like, "Johnny wrote his Y the right way. I'm so proud of him." This allows students to want to strive for the next. We can also believe that all students can succeed, because they might not have that at home. At home, they might be told, "You're worthless, you'll never be anything, you can't do it." But at school, they'll be told, "You mean something to me. You can do it. You're here for a reason. Let me help you." Another way to make connections is the 2x10 method. 2 minutes for 10 days, sitting down with a student, talking to them about what they want to talk to, seeking to hear rather than to be heard, seeking to understand rather than to be understood. Now, this method really helped me in my placements. When I first started there, I would sit at the door at the beginning of the day. The students would walk in, and I would get a, "Hey," and they would keep walking. I noticed this wasn't gonna help me. I got assigned a group right away, and they didn't listen to me. But why would they? I didn't know them, and they didn't know me. So I started sitting down with them. I started helping them with their math, and I started teaching them things that I think are important. And I started making connections, noticing that some students don't like their math because it's math and numbers. But what if we change that? What if it's not numbers anymore and it's trucks and cars? If we have 2 cars and we have 3 trucks, how many vehicles do we have? Something my teacher told me in my first placement was, "You have left an impact on many little hearts." Where I feel as I had left an impact, they left an even bigger impact on my heart. I was also told the students were definitely comfortable with you. Nice job building relationships and making connections in this placement. This hit me hard because I had a student that I felt like I wasn't making a connection with. He would walk past me, he was reluctant to talk to me. He didn't want to get to know me and he didn't want me to know him. But finally, we sat down and we talked every day just about his day, how it was going, what he ate for lunch, what he did for recess, where he played, who he played with. It was just simple things, things I didn't think mattered. But at the end of this placement, as I was getting ready to leave, he looked at me and said, "Miss Winkel, now that you're gone, who am I going to talk to?" That moved me, because it was a simple thing of asking, how was your spaghetti at lunch? Did you push someone on the swings or did you get pushed? Did you play tag or did you play hide and seek? Those simple things impacted him, and they made him feel like he had his voice heard, and that he was no longer just someone who didn't have the friends, but I was there for him. I wasn't just a teacher for him anymore. I became a friend. This is my smile file. This is a creation of artwork, drawings, scribbles, whatever you want to call it, that my students have made for me. We have ones with hearts and scribbles, ones that tried to write my name, and a little girl who loved Mickey Mouse so much that she was willing to share her Christmas present with me because she wanted me to remember her. These students changed my life, and I'm so incredibly grateful for the opportunity to be put in them. So why am I telling you about the connections? Well, students learn better in a comfortable and supportive environment. They become more engaged and have increased motivation. If they see one student thriving, they push to thrive as well. And I want to create an environment where all students feel like they can thrive, where they don't feel like they just have to do mediocre, where they can be the best they can be. They can let go of that fear of failure, and their dream of succeeding can be a reality. And most importantly, I want my students to feel like they belong, like they have a purpose in my classroom. The second they walk in there, they know that they're here for a reason, and I'm here to help them. Matthew 19 verse 14 says, "But Jesus said, 'Let the little children come to me, and do not stop them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these.'" Jesus was a teacher. We should all thrive to be more like Jesus. He lets the little children come to him. He doesn't let their home lives or their race or their religion stop them. He lets them come. So let us go to our little children. Let them come to us. Let's build them up. Matthew 11 verse 28 says, "Come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Jesus gives rest to those who are weary and burdened. Kids with hard home lives don't have that rest. Let's be that rest for the kids. Let's let them not worry about their wearies and their burdens. They can drop them off and they are safe here. Proverbs 22 verse 6 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it." This verse to me is the foundation for why I want to be a teacher. A single moment in someone's life can alter everything. I want you to think real quick. Think about an interaction you've had with a teacher, positive or negative. I want you to think about how that teacher made you feel. You're not forgetting it, are you? You're sitting here in a classroom, remembering it. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. We need to train up our children in the proper way, in a loving way, in a way where all of them feel connected. Now I'm going to make my connection back to NMC. I've been going here for quite a few years. I've seen teachers come and I've seen teachers go. But through it all, the teachers have always made me feel like I belong. This is me from my first day at NMC ever to my last day ever at NMC. And it just has showed me that the connections I've made with these teachers aren't just something that is going to go with me through high school and I graduate and they're like, okay, you're done. It's something where I know that if I need someone to turn to, they're there. And that's my presentation. No questions? Yeah?
What surprised you the most during, like, if you think about all your placements you had this year, like all three of them, what was something that, like, surprised you or you took away?
Definitely the home lives the kids came from. Going to a private school, I feel like I've been really privileged to see mostly the same things. And so to know that there are students who only go to school like every other week because of their home life and how their parents are separated, or students who haven't even been in school for a full week since November. It's just crazy to see that not everything is perfect. So I think that definitely threw me through a loop.
What's next for you?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
I'm going to college to be a teacher.